Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another kind of list video of some books that I really enjoy. As you guys can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about 8 books that have twist endings that really blew me away and have stuck with me. I think a twist ending is one of those things that's really difficult to nail. There are definitely a lot of books out there and a lot of movies and TV shows that have some twist endings that are either very unbelievable or you can't quite figure out how that actually worked out or how it happened. Looking back on it, there's like plot holes that don't make sense, or sometimes you see them coming from a mile away. For me, a lot of these stories and a lot of these twists either took me completely off guard but make absolutely perfect sense, or I had no idea that a twist was coming whatsoever, and when it happened I was like, wait, what? And I really like that. Again, the twists were like, you can kind of like with like murder mysteries, right? Like the big reveal is always kind of like your twist and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't see that person. Like that's one type of twist. And then of course the one where you don't think there's a twist coming at all, and then it comes and it gives the whole story an entirely new meaning. And those are the twists I want to talk about today. Again, I have 8 books for you. I do primarily read horror and thrillers, so this is an entire stack of only horror and thriller novels. So let's dive right in. First up, can't do this type of list without talking about one of the best twist endings in popular current literature and film as well, and that is Fight Club. If you have never read Fight Club or never seen the Fight Club movie, turn this video off right now and go and do that, because this is such a brilliant book. I will say this is one of those few cases where I do think that the movie is better than the book, and I think that because I think the movie makes the twist just harder to see coming. I definitely read the book after I had seen the movie, so I did know what the twist ending was, so I was able to kind of figure it out in the book. But hey, I do think Fight Club is one of the best stories ever and has one of the most amazing twist endings ever. It's also one of those endings that like never gets ruined for you. Like everybody knows Bruce Willis is a ghost, right? But no one really knows, or no one ever spoils. Everybody knows the ending of Fight Club, but no one ever spoils the ending of Fight Club. And I really like that. If you've never read Fight Club, this is the story of a guy who is kind of fed up with his 9-to-5 job. He travels for work a lot and he just finally is over it, meets this other dude one night, and they form a club where they fight each other underground to basically get out their rage and kind of break the rules of conventional society. This is an amazing novel. Chuck Palahniuk is such a talented writer. It's one of my favorite books of all time, and the ending is phenomenal. Next up, I always have stickers on the books that I get from the Strand, and I apologize for that, but sorry. But next up is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. She is a queen of horror literature. She is probably best known for her work The Lottery and The Haunting of Hill House. This, however, is my favorite book by her, and it is phenomenal. The twist ending in this, I think, is very original. It has been copied numerous times since, but I do absolutely love this story. This is the story of Constance and her little sister Mary Cat, who are very wealthy but have been alienated by the small town that they live in due to mysterious circumstances. I'll just leave it at that. And it is just about them living in their mansion. I think this is one of the best gothic novels on the market, or that's like, it is not on the market, but like out there. It is set in the 20th century, so it is still very modern, but it is very spooky, very eerie. And the ending of this book took me so off guard, and I remember reading it, and the twist is just so casually revealed to you that I was like, wait, what? And this definitely has stuck with me since I read that. There's a great film out there that was released recently with, what's her name, Taissa Farmiga and Sebastian Stan, which I think is also very good. It does the book very good justice as well. But yeah, this is a beautiful book. This is an amazing, eerie gothic novel, and it's very creepy, and the twist is so worth it at the end. I'm kind of going through all the books that had like movies adapted from them, and I kind of wanted to do that just because I think most of these books, with the exception of Fight Club, the twist reveal in the book is far stronger than it is in the movie, so I do encourage you to read the books first, except for maybe Fight Club, because I do just see Fight Club, the movie. Just read the book, see the movie. They're both great. But I do think that if you have seen if you've seen this movie, you didn't get the story. The movie, for I'm Thinking of Ending Things, is absolute trash. I know people get mad at that, but it is when you compare it to the book. This is one of the weirdest books I have ever read. I tell everybody to go into this book completely blind, so I'm not even going to tell you what this book is about, because I think you get so much more from this book if you have just no clue what's going on. And this is a book you really have to dissect. This is a book told in different ways. This is a book that can be read backwards, which I think is really cool, like chapter by chapter backwards, and it unfolds kind of what's going on. And I think this book's a little overrated. I'll say that. This is a little overrated, but I do think that it is brilliant at the same time. So Ian Reid, I think that's how you say it, crafts this insane narrative of surrealism and deception for the reader, while at the same time giving the reader all of the answers. A lot of these books that I'm talking about are very, very, very in tune with the ideas and concepts of mental illness. I think this is a really, really important read for that as well. There's definitely should be a trigger warning on this about mental illness. I'm not going to get into what it is, but this book is an absolute trip. Do not watch the movie. The movie literally butchers the entire second half of this book. Really took away some of the meaning of this book, I felt, to put kind of an artistic spin on it, whereas this book is very artsy and very strange to begin with. Definitely worth the read. I do highly recommend a second reading of it as well, or at least a second like skimming over, because a lot of the questions that you have will get answered with a second reread, and you'll really be able to see the twist coming once you know what happens reading it. But this is a brilliant book. Highly recommend it. I think this is my last book of movies. But Stephen King's Geralds Game. So Stephen King's Geralds Game is, in my opinion, one of the best Stephen King books out there. I also think it is one of the most underrated Stephen King books out there. I feel like no one ever talks about this book, even though if you're a fan of Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, the guy who directed this and most of the cast from this movie are kind of the reason that Haunting of Hill House exists. So there you go. This is the story of a girl named Jessie who goes on like a romantic getaway with her husband. They get to some like fun things going on in their bedroom, and he handcuffs her to a bed and has a heart attack and dies. And then she is trapped, handcuffed to the bed for the vast majority of the novel, and has to figure out how to get out of her situation when she's now suddenly alone, trapped in a room with a decaying body. If you're a fan of Misery by Stephen King, this is very, very similar to Misery. I really like this book. It's really, really creepy. There's a monster in this book that, to me, is one of the scariest characters that Stephen King has ever written. It's one of the only books that has ever really scared me when reading it, which then leads me to the twist, which I am not going to spoil at all. But I will say the twist, I had no idea was coming. When it came, I was like, what? So taken off guard. And then when I saw what the reveal was, it made this book 10 times scarier. The twist ending of Gerald's Game really does like blindside you completely, makes absolutely perfect sense, and is so well crafted and so creepy that I think it needs to be talked about more. And I will say I do not think the movie does the twist justice in the way that the book does. I think this book is great. It's a pretty short Stephen King book. It's under 400 pages. Just like a novella for Mr. King. But I do highly, highly recommend this. a beautiful, beautiful storytelling, really disturbing, very, very feminist book. Like, this is one of Stephen King's more women-focused novels, very, very feminist, very pro-women. I know that his wife Tabitha really, really helped him pinpoint what Jessie would be feeling in the book. So it is a very, very solid read. But the twist ending is freaking amazing, and I'm not going to ruin it for anybody because I think all of you should read it. It scared the crap out of me. Okay, next up. I've talked about this book so many times on my channel, but Paul Tremblay, A Head Full of Ghosts. This is another twist ending that I did not see coming, and when it came, I was like, not fully blindsided, just because it was, I don't even know how to talk about this book without like giving away, like, when the ending's revealed, you're kind of like, I should have seen that coming. And there's a lot of reasons and a lot of allusions to why you probably would have seen this coming, but this book is really good. If you've never heard of this book, it is about a girl whose older sister is believed to have been possessed by a demon, even though it could also be potentially mental illness, and her family decides to make a reality television show about her struggle with her possession or mental health issues. The twist ending really solidifies this novel for me. A lot of people criticize Paul Tremblay on his way to end his novels and how he goes about his kind of vague conclusions. I think that this book does a solid job. I wouldn't want this book to end any other way, and I thought the twist was brilliant. And again, when you read it, you might not see the twist coming, but after you've seen the twist, you're going to be like, wow, I really, really should have seen that coming. But I do think it's really, really good. I think it's a really strong read, and I think it's really worth it. Okay, ooh, I've got 2 more books coming up that I've talked about recently on my channel. So these are definitely newer reads, but you may have heard me talk about The Chestnut Man. This one falls into that category of twists that you know are coming because it's like it's a crime thriller, so the whole thing is like, who did it, right? And then you get to that ending and you're like, oh my god, how did I not see that coming? And this is one of those novels where, like, I don't think anybody sees the reveal coming in this. I don't think anybody sees it. It's right there in front of you. It makes absolutely perfect sense. But this book is so good at deception and like misleading its reader that when you do finally get to that ending, you're just like, what? I mean, like all of the puzzle pieces fit, but you don't believe it. And I think this is why this book is so, so, so brilliant. And I have a whole video on why I love The Chestnut Man. But I really, really think that this is one of those books with just an absolutely mind-boggling twist ending, and everybody should read it. This book is about a serial killer who is terrorizing Copenhagen and the 2 detectives who are trying to catch that serial killer. If you're a fan of like the Hannibal TV series or like Law and Order, read this. This will blow your mind. It's fabulous. Okay, next up. I literally just did a video on this, and this is December Park by Ronald Melfi. This is a different type of twist ending with a serial killer involved. And I'm not going to get into the twists and the reveals and stuff, but what I like about this and how I want to compare it to The Chestnut Man is whereas The Chestnut Man, it's like the whole point of the book is to figure out who the serial killer is. The point of this book isn't. So when you do get like all the reveals that tie up the novel at the end, it's really, I don't want to say jarring, but it definitely forces the reader to take a step back. It is definitely a twist. It is a twist I in no way, shape, or form saw coming. But what makes this book effective is the twist ending of this is more of a metaphor than a plot device. And I think using a twist as a metaphor versus something that concludes or drives the plot actually benefits this novel way, way, way more. This book actually has 3 little twists layered up with it. But I do think that the main twist, the main reveal at the very end of this book really drives home the entire point of this book, even if it's one of those endings where you're kind of like, what? Like, how did I get here? I don't know if that made sense. Because it's not necessarily supposed to make perfect sense in the plot, but in the narrative metaphorical sense as a whole, it is brilliant, and I think the only way that this novel could have ended. And I haven't really experienced novels that do that, where like the twist is like a psychological effect on the reader versus like holy shit, like physical effect. And I thought that was really cool, and I've never seen a book that really does that, and I think this is great for that. Okay, and last but not least, so this is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is like known for his twist endings, known for like coming out of left field, and you spend most of your time with Riley Sager's works being led one way and then the other and turned around, and you never quite know what's going on. This was the first book I had ever read from Riley Sager, so I didn't know that about him when I read it. And this is a solid, fine read, and I remember reading it and being like, yeah, this is like a 4-star read. Like, I really dig this. This is pretty cool. I wonder who's doing what and who's making things happen. And then I got to the ending, like the last like 10 pages or so, and I was like fully blindsided. Felt like a truck hit me. And this ending elevated this book for me from a 4-star read to a 5-star read in 10 pages. And I couldn't believe it. And this ending to me, I'm still like, how did I not see that coming? Like, how? It makes sense. It's weird. It's creepy. It kind of leaves you with this like kind of feeling of like dread after reading it. And at the same time, it kept in par with like the pacing and like the almost like frivolity of this type of horror novel. Like, Riley Sager doesn't really write serious horror novels. He writes fun horror novels with really scary elements. And I thought that the conclusion of this was just brilliant. So this is about a girl who returns to be a camp counselor at a summer camp that she went to as a child, and when she was there, her cabin mates disappeared and were never seen again, and believed to have been potentially murdered or so. So that is the premise. Very like tribute to slashers, very like Camp Crystal Lakey. Without like the whole slasher effect. It's more like implied slashers. I don't know. I really like this book. I thought it was fun. I thought it was unique, and the ending really like pulled the rug out from under me. I thought I didn't see this ending coming. I'm sure some people have read this and they're going to be like, how did you not see that ending coming? I just did not see this coming. I didn't take this book seriously at all. And after reading this, I was like, wow, maybe I should have really paid attention to this book more. I think Riley Sager is great. He's so much fun to read, and his books are really crafty and clever, and I think this is an amazing execution of that. So yeah, those are my 8 novels with fabulous twist endings that I think everybody should check out. I might be doing more of these. I definitely have some other books that have some like great twists or interesting conclusions that I think are definitely worth talking about. So be on the lookout for more things like that in the future. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday. And if you like this video, hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah.